Now, let me ask you this question. Since these people have broken the law to come here, do you think they would have the potential to break other laws and not respect our laws at all?
Man, yeah, of course. And we don't even know who these people are. Like, we don't know who, some of these, we've seen people come in from Asia. We've seen people come in from Russia that Eric Adams alluded to. We're in a proxy war over there, and we don't know who's coming through the borders. Not only just the small petty theft and all that, the crimes they tried to knock Donald Trump for to highlighting, they're not sending their best. Yeah, they're not gonna abide by the Constitution. They're not gonna abide by local laws. They're gonna be, many of them, law-breaking illegal immigrants.
So my wife sent me the other day a video of apparently there's a motorcycle gang, and I don't think they're motorcycle. I look at them more as like a scooter, a moped. I would say moped, but they're causing issues in New York. They're doing stuff that they shouldn't be doing if they really were guests in our country, right? And then I came across this video of a bunch of immigrants attacking NYC cops. So let's take a look at that.
Mira cómo le empujó. Ven, mira cómo le empujó. Uy. Fíjate cómo fue el empuje. Claro, está todo grabado, mano, estate quieto. Está todo grabado. ¿Dónde está todo grabado? Mira cómo le empujó, bro. ¿Le pegó, le pegó? Claro, mano. Tranquila, que mira, ve. Que los ve. Activo. Una película, yo. Qué locura. ¿Qué pasó? Vacilo, mira, huevo, ¿verdad? Por par de motos, da huevo, no es poco de policía. Y quieren llevar la moto, Mira, mira, cómo se lo llama allá. El mecánico que allá arriba.
Carlos, what country was that?
So that's New York City. That's our country.
That wasn't America.
That is
was it?
America. That's America. That's up in New York City right now. It says it right there. Manhattan, New York.
Man, this is going to be a whole different world. It's going to be a whole different world if we don't get a hold on this. I mean, it almost might be too late. I want to remain optimistic. We've got patriots like yourself and many others, but this is our concern.
So these are Venezuelans. I can tell by their accent. My wife is Venezuelan, right? So I can tell by their accent they're from Venezuela. And my wife says that, and we actually reported on this also in a different episode, where Maduro has essentially emptied out the prisons and sent them all over here since we've got an open border. Cuba did the exact same thing back in the early 80s, where Castro opened up all the prisons and just let the flood of criminal Cubans come over. It's the same playbook that they're doing. And so here's the thing: if you are breaking our laws just to get here, and we've got already criminal elements embedded in the supposed normal flow of migrants that just want a better life, is this really the result? Is this really the what we're going to get? Is this really what we're supposed to accept here in our own country?
Yeah, we can't accept this because we're going to get as low as we accept. That's what we're going to get, and I don't know if people are going to be able to have the kind of foresight to say, wait a second, this is just the beginning. It could get worse as time goes on. So we got to kind of step up.
Absolutely, and then the left, what they're going to do is like, oh, they're not all like that. Listen, if crime goes up 10%, just 10%, let's just say 10%, because of illegal immigration, that's 10% that doesn't need to be here. We've already got enough crime of our own with our own people, and again, that's a spectrum across every skin color of nationality, right? If we've got our own issues with our own people, why do we need to absorb more criminal activity, more criminal behavior?
Yep, and I think you are seeing some people speak out. We just need more of it. We just need a lot more. We need a lot more. We'll know that we have enough people speaking out when you've got your AOCs and your Ayanna Presleys and your Chuck Schumers and all the corporate politicians, when you got them kind of changing their vocabulary. We're not there yet, but we've seen some signs. So hopefully
let's take a look. If you mentioned the AOC, let's take a look, because she had a visit to these campsites over in NYC. Let's take a look what happened and how the people reacted to her.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and other congressional Democrats are here in New York to address the city's asylum seeker crisis. They toured shelters housing migrants this morning, but then a press conference was abruptly cut short by protesters. Morgan McKay is live in Midtown with the details. Morgan.
Chris, chaos erupted here outside the Roosevelt Hotel, which is currently serving as a migrant intake center. 12 House Democrats were here to tour the site and weigh in on the migrant crisis. It's also the first time we've really seen such a large showing of House Democrats together on this issue. But we're going to show you this video here. Protesters shouting on bullhorns, chanting, "Go back to your country," drowning out the congressional leaders and forcing them to leave before they could answer some really important questions. More than 113,000 migrants have passed through New York City since last spring, with nearly 60,000 migrants still currently in the city's care. The White House has repeatedly said that the solution to this crisis lies with Congress, and it's up to them to pass meaningful immigration reform. But it's unlikely that Democrats and Republicans would be able to come together on a bipartisan agreement to make real policy changes in the near future. But Democrats argue that there are things the Biden administration can do on their own. Before she was drowned out, Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says they would like to see three things. 1, increased federal resources to the city. 2, sped up work authorization. And 3, an extension of immigration parole so migrants from at least 11 different countries can start working immediately when they arrive.
We're incredibly thrilled and excited to be here in order to make sure that we are joined by the Congressional Hispanic Caucus, as well as several other members from across the United States.
What we saw there were children, families, people that want to work, people that are fleeing violence, people that are environmental disasters. We see so many stories, heartbreaking stories, manifest itself here.
Yes, we got to see more of that. It's peaceful. I like to hear those people shouting them down. I don't know if that is your MAGA wing, or it would be very powerful if those were people who are on the left. You know, shouting down AOC. I'm not sure where they fit in that, or maybe not even political. That'd be even better if they're not into politics at all and they're seeing it. New York was a place where I always looked up to New Yorkers for their toughness. That was the stereotype back in the day. And they're not showing a lot of that now. But maybe there's a little bit left.
It's tough
in New York.
because remember, anytime you show toughness, the federal government and the local government, if you're in a left-wing state, they make an example of you, right? They shut you down real quick. They do whatever they can. But here's what's interesting is that I don't know if MAGA was there. I didn't see one single MAGA flag, which you know MAGA likes to represent some way, somehow, either a hat, a shirt, a flag, whatever. I didn't see any of that. I did see one sign where a guy said vets and legal immigrants welcome, and everybody else should go back home, essentially, which I totally agree with. I've heard and seen video of similar reactions coming out of Chicago, left-wing Chicago. These are definitely not right-wingers. These were definitely left-wingers, right? Where they're, saying, hey, we can't. It's not possible. Here's one thing that I just don't, it just doesn't comprehend in my brain, and maybe you can help me understand it. The left black population claims that, there's systemic racism and they can't get out and they're so on and so forth. We talked about it in our last episode, correct?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Why do they support illegal immigrations? Because the benefits that these people who are not U.S. citizens, they're getting the benefits that if everything that the black leftist says is true about their own community, why do they support that when it goes against their own community? Hey, those are resources that should come to us. Hey, those are our jobs too. We want to work as well. Can you help me understand that?
Yeah, I've struggled to try and understand it myself. And I kind of separate from those people who think that way. I don't mind you having a position. I just want you to be able to articulate it, and they can't. So what you see is basically the relationship with black Americans and the Democrat Party is basically kind of like a mental slave and master. And there is no other. So they basically give you've got two choices. You've either got the racist MAGA or you've got us. And we're going to give you reparations or whatever else. New York is talking about trying to do a study just like California did, but nothing came out of California. But they're going to do this panel study and all that. They keep every election. Oh, we're going to talk about reparations and stuff. These are things that they care about. And they get fooled every time because they only see things as two options. And then if you effectively label one of them as racist, then they're going to go to the other one. But I think we talked about this. Black women are more likely to kind of stay with the Democrat Party. We're seeing a lot of black males be like, I can't do this anymore.
There was a similar poll that came out for young college students where the males are tending to lean more conservative, where the females are leaning more liberal. So that's pretty interesting. Now, I don't know if you came across this. This just came into my feed maybe about 2 days ago, but California is trying to pass a bill that is going to help illegal immigrants with $300 paychecks on a weekly basis for 20 weeks. You tell me how that makes sense when California has the highest homeless rate, a huge drug and amphetamine problem, and a slew of other issues going on as far as crime and violence and so on and so forth.
I did not hear of that until you sent me that article. We follow this stuff and I'm still blown away. Did y'all hear what Carlos just said? That they're planning on, I think, where is it at? In their California Senate, I believe. Yeah, they are trying to provide $300 a week to unemployed illegal immigrants. They're not even citizens. And I think for this one, they know, like, they're not legal immigrants. They're still gonna, $300 a week. And you know who's gonna pay for that. They're gonna get federal funding. They got federal funding to be in, I don't know if they're a sanctuary state or not, but you know, they have the cities. They got money for having sanctuary cities. Taxpayers are paying that. It's not just coming out of California.
Absolutely correct. You're absolutely correct. And we're being taxed. My goodness, it's ridiculous the amount of taxes I get. Now, here's what I want to do. I want to shift over to the ongoing lies that the left loves to play. I mean, we've already touched on some of them already, right? But I want to dig a little bit deeper, and I want to do, which I don't like these people, but I would like to play a piece from The View, because I think their take was really, really interesting regarding this matter.
So, this may sound like a New York story, but it really isn't, because the migrant situation is a country story for the United States. And comments from New York City Mayor Eric Adams at Town Hall this week commented on how the migrant crisis is affecting the city. It's getting a lot of attention. He needs money, and he's out there asking for help. Watch.
I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. We got a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this. I said it last year when we had 15,000. I'm telling you now, with 110,000, the city we knew we're about to lose.
A little dramatic, isn't it? Seems a bit dramatic.
He's got a flair for drama.
Yeah, but he's been critical of the Biden administration for months. He doesn't get support from the government, he's saying. And Republicans love this, because this is right up their alley for somebody like a New York sanctuary city to be complaining about migrant problem. So,
four countries that are providing where most of these migrants are coming from. One is Venezuela, where there is a communist dictator, Maduro. Another is Nicaragua, where there is a communist dictator, Ortega. Another is Cuba, where there is a communist dictatorship of over 60 years. Another one is Haiti, where it's complete bedlam, violence, danger, war. And so this is not a federal problem. This is not an American problem. This is a regional problem. This is a world problem. Yeah. And I think it takes everybody sitting together, not being performative. What is being performative? Sending busloads of migrants to Kamala Harris's house or to Martha's Vineyard, or what Greg Abbott just did, the governor of Texas just did, putting those drowning devices inside the Rio Grande, to cause harm, which the federal courts said were illegal and he needs to get rid of. That's performative. What we need is legislation. We need cooperation with other countries. We need cooperation with refugee resettlement programs worldwide, so not everybody comes to the United States. I do think that the federal government is doing many things. They have prioritized asylum seekers. They've instituted a parole program specifically for those four countries. But frankly, I think we need to find, and we've dealt with this before. I lived in Miami. I was an immigrant in Miami in the 80s. You'll remember when we had the Mariel boat lift. Yes. 125,000 Cubans came in a matter of 6 months. It puts tremendous stress on a city, on a community, on the social services. They need to be resettled elsewhere.
They need to be out. We're this massive country.
And it's only going to get worse with global warming and climate change, because people can't live in certain parts of this world.
They gotta get that in on everything. They can't talk about anything without bringing up race and then climate change. It has to be brought up.
So what did you get out of that video?
That we have people who their job is to take things that might be disturbing and to smooth it over for whoever's in charge, whoever's behind all this stuff, bigger than Biden, to smooth it over for them so that your common housewife, mom at home, that's typically who the View targeting. They don't know what's going on. They trust the View, and they look at the View and say, "Oh, Eric Adams is he's just being dramatic. Oh, that's all. Eric Adams is being dramatic," and they feel fine, and then they'll go mark that D next time, or that corporate Republican next time.
Yep, absolutely. But it's interesting, all of those talking points, right, that Ana Navarro said was right in line with what Republicans say. Hey, we need to have a legal process. We need to have, and we have laws on the book. The problem is, again, you're muddying the water by changing terminology, changing differences, changing policy. He said, Biden, like we did in the first video, he said he was going to change policy. The problem here is that we've got an agenda that these people either A, don't acknowledge, or B, they're throwing a smokescreen. They don't want to acknowledge it because they're covering for their guy. Back to the lie. Notice how she said we're getting people from Venezuela, Cuba, Nicaragua, right? She mentioned those three countries, Latin countries, and then she threw in Haiti. Okay. Mm-hmm. Communistic governments, right, in order to make it seem legitimate that they are asylum seekers. Haiti doesn't count. I don't think Haiti has a dictator there. They have a lot of violence and they have a lot of poverty, but so do other countries. That's not a prerequisite for being an asylum seeker, right? So what happens, it's a smokescreen because we've been having migrants coming from all over Latin America. It's not just those three countries. It's a lot more, and this next video is going to show that. And see, to the average American, they don't when you hear the accents of Spanish people, number one, you don't know the language, right? So to you, it probably just sounds like Chinese, right? But to a Spanish person, we hear the dialects. We hear the difference of accents. A Colombian accent is unique and very, very different from a Cuban accent, as is a Cuban accent from a Mexican accent, as is a Mexican one from a Peruvian one or an Argentinian one. Dude, we can hear it. We can hear it. It's like, for instance, like, I don't know. I would imagine like in Jamaica, right? Jamaica has a very unique accent. You could tell that you're from Jamaica when your parents, I'm sure they have a strong Jamaican accent, be it that they came there, right? Yep. When you hear the Jamaican accent with the American accent, from an American black, you could hear the difference. And I'm sure to a Spanish person that doesn't speak English, they don't know. But to us, because we know, we can hear it, right?
Yeah, that's great insight. Yeah, of course, I can't pick that up, but I kind of liken it to, you can hear a Chicago, New York accent, you can hear a, down south accent, but yeah, I mean, so you're listening to this and you're like, wait a second, I know they sound like they're from here.
Correct. Yeah. Each country uses its own words too. Like, for example, in that video that we saw, those people attacking the cops or fighting with the cops, right? My wife would call those malandros, right? Which basically is like a thug, but that word is unique to Venezuelans. The minute you hear somebody say malandro, you know you're dealing with somebody from Venezuela, right? So it's just those types of things, but remember during those caravans that were coming back during the Trump administration and right before Trump was getting elected, there was like these slew of caravans. I want to show you something really interesting to go against the false narrative that Ana Navarro and other Democrats are saying. Check this out.
At the front end, I was in Guatemala. I was there for the second wave that was coming across the Honduran border. So I was right there in a town called Chiquimula, right on the Honduran border, as they were moving across. And
look at the flags.
As they were moving across.
Look at the flags. We've got an Argentinian flag. We've got a Mexican flag. We've got, I think it's Chile back there. Dominican flag. Look at that. I think this is Nicaragua here. I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure.
Wow.
So you could see here, we've got a slew of different countries, and it's not just the ones that Ana Navarro just mentioned. And this was back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, or 2018, something like that.
Yeah.
But you can see right here, we've got an array of different countries coming over. So for her to say that it's just those four countries is absolutely false.
Wow.
So they've been flooding the border for years now. It's nothing new. And even Mayor Adams said that we're getting people from Russia. We're getting people from Asia. We already touched on the Middle Eastern aspect of things, right? So it's nothing new. And then Joy, to your point, Joy threw in that climate change there at the very end of that, right? So you're going to tell me, wait a minute, I thought climate change was a global thing. You're going to tell me that it's not global climate change is not going to impact them if they come to America?
Yeah, I don't know what her take was there. I think she just wanted to throw it in there, just like climate change, and that kind of solidifies the whole woke. I mean, to me, woke is letting some other authority define your morality, and that's what it sounds like to me. Like they don't even know what they're saying. They're just saying stuff, and they know what the right things are to say, though.
Absolutely. One thing Anna did mention that I do want to give her credit for is that she said this is a regional problem. This is a problem that is actually global. And Italy right now is dealing with a very, very similar situation. I read a report like 2 days ago where they're having a lot of boats approaching their shores with illegal immigrants, and they're just getting on land and stuff like that. Very similar to how the Cubans used to come on over in the rafts on our end. So they're dealing with a massive issue as well. This is a huge problem, and every government, every country, every country's sovereign. They have a right to borders. And every government, their job is not to facilitate other citizens. Their primary job is for their own citizens, right? Those are the people that come first. That doesn't mean that we can't, we can't process people. We let 1 million plus legal immigrants into this country every single year, whether it's through the normal process, whether it's through a lottery, whether it's through some other means. Why do we have to take on millions of illegals? That doesn't make sense to me. It's, to quote Bill Clinton, it's self-defeating.
Yep, it doesn't make any sense, and it's not, you would think that it's a reasonable take to say we can only take in as many people, even if they are seeking asylum, even if they are, we can only take as many people seeking asylum that we can hear their court case right then and there. If there's anything, if it has to be delayed a day or 2 or 20 years, that's too long, and we have to stop people from coming over, even if they are, could be potentially legal. I think that's a reasonable take to have.
Absolutely. Let me ask you, how did you feel seeing all those flags coming over?
Well, I think the concern to me, where is their allegiance? We saw Mexicans come into the United States, and a while back, there was some type of conflict going back between U.S. and Mexico, and I don't know where they lie. And I don't think they all are going to just necessarily be anti-Constitution and pro-Democratic Party, but I don't know. To me, you lose Western culture, you lose the identity, the special, what makes America special. I don't mind anybody flying their flags of their home country, but we're not going through that process. They're not taking a civics test, that's for sure.
Right. Well, to me, I'm Hispanic, right? But I'm American, and to me, it's a big slap in the face. You're so proud about your own flag that you're fleeing the country for whatever reason, and you're coming here. You're not waving my flag. Why? You're demanding to come in here illegally, and you don't even have the decency to wave my flag and say, please let me in. I want to be American. I want to be like you guys, or I want to be with you guys. Please let me know you come. Slapping us in the face, waving your own flags. I personally have I feel negative towards that, to be quite frank, because this is the only flag that I absolutely love. And if you're trying to get in here illegally, at the very least, you should be waving this flag because you want to be a part of us.
I'm going to steal that take. I'm going to credit you if I ever say it. That's a hell of a take. I agree 1,000%.
Now, let's finish up, because what's the end game? This is all being done for a particular reason, and you alluded to that at the very beginning of our episode. I think Biden has already said it, but let's hear it from, directly from him.
Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration. nonstop. Folks like me who are Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength. And so
ignorant and so racist. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's funny that if you say that, but you're not, if you don't adhere to their, ideology and you say the exact same thing, it all of a sudden becomes replacement theory. Isn't that replacement theory?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's just openly talking about it. Everybody knows it's there. And if you are the wrong person and you say the same things, then all of a sudden you're whatever label. Tucker Carlson talks about it. Charlie Kirk talks about it. A lot of people talk about it, but then they get labeled as something. But he says it right there. He's not the only one. There's multiple Democrats who've said it.
Yep, absolutely. Let's take a look at what's to come, because this is a video that I got sent, or I came across just a couple of days ago, and it's really interesting when you hear what he just finished saying about the wave, ongoing immigration. Let's take a look.
Gran promo. Si hay mochileros, si hay mochileros. Si hay mochileros, si hay mochileros, si hay mochileros disponibles.
Every single day.
Yeah, that little TikTok jingle, I don't know why it makes me laugh, because it's like, you look at some of the most dark things, or they got the whole country of Venezuela just marching on up to our border, then it goes, but it's frightening, man. That's a frightening thought to see, like, where are my children going to be at? Where are our kids going to be at 10 years from now if we don't, like, say, for example, Trump doesn't win, or, you get Biden or whoever, Gavin Newsom or somebody like that, and it gets worse over another, 4 years, and then say they win again, then another 4 years. I don't know where it goes, man.
Remember what I told you? The illusion of democracy is not really democracy, man. They are playing a game where they're going to give the appearance like, oh, people still have, your vote counts, even though it doesn't, right? Even though it doesn't, because the elitists have already showed us from 2016 that our votes really don't count, especially if you're a Democrat. Why? We know what they did regarding just Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders. We saw what they did, how they favored Hillary over Bernie, and they cheated him out of his nomination, not just once, but twice. They did it in 2016, and they did it again in 2020, and he's the idiot that's still part of that same party.
That shows you how powerful they are. Like Bernie, the bro who got burned by the Democratic in the primary, if you don't know, we're talking about like they were ruled in a court case that they're a private, they're a company. They're just a corporation, and they can do whatever they want. So we've allowed two corporations, basically one, Democrats and Republicans, but the Democrats are a little bit more strong. We've allowed them to take over our politics. They dominate the politics, all the money, everything. And they're a private company, so they don't have to do anything in any type of fashion that really helps the country. They can just pick whoever they want, basically.
Absolutely. And here's the end game. Here's the end result, why all of this is happening. Let's take a look.
But first to the US, where they're finding out that elections have consequences, with the biggest surge in illegal migration in more than 20 years, thanks to Joe Biden's reckless rhetoric and policies. Yes, we're looking at illegal migrants on the Mexican border with Joe Biden T-shirts waiting to cross. The numbers are staggering, with the US on track for 2 million migrants on the southern border this year alone.
That was back in 2020. You've got these people wearing shirts, Biden on it. Biden let me in. Listen, Democrats are okay with illegal immigration because they think it'll spawn future Democrat voters. And even if you just go by a percentage, more than 70% of Hispanics vote Democrat. You got 70% of those millions that are coming in, and those are Biden voters. Those are Democratic loyalists now.
Just like you said, like if you're really about coming to America for the opportunity, you're coming with the American flag. And instead of that, they're coming with Biden during the election. It looks like around the 2020 was a hell of a, 2020 was a crazy year, wasn't it? They're coming to the border with Biden, please let us in t-shirt. I'd never seen that.
So let me get your final thoughts, and then I'll give my final thoughts on this entire scenario that we've covered today.
Well, I appreciate you bringing up the topic. I mean, I don't think we can do it enough. I don't do it enough. We have to talk about it. And as always, you're very respectful with how you do it. And we need to just talk about this. That's why the First Amendment is, I think it's number one, more important than 2A. I think First Amendment is way more important than 2A. And we've got to, if we can't talk about this stuff, I don't really hear enough of it. I think it's just going in echo chambers. You see Fox News a little bit. Online is all echo chamber. What I mean by that is we talk about it, and it's hard to break out of the people who are already open to that information. So you've got normies out there when the election comes, they don't know, they don't care, and they vote. So I'm optimistic that the dark times that we have coming, it will force us to waking up, like you saw in Chicago, like you see in New York. So hopefully it's not too late, though, when people wake up.
I'll tell you what, illegal immigration hurts native-born Americans. It hurts legal U.S. citizens. And anyone who's trying to do things by the books, right? To come here correct way, legally, right? Be part of this country, right? Despite what the racist leftists say, who are obviously obsessed with race, it's not about anybody's skin color. It's about whether you're legal or not, right? That's all this is. So they're going to muddy the water as best as they can. And that's what they're going to do. That's what they've been doing for the past almost decade now. And like I said, we are a country. We're sovereign. We have borders. We have every right to protect it. We have every right to say who comes in and who doesn't, right? Like I stated before, we all have to follow every single law that's on the books. I don't get to pick and choose what laws I want to follow and what laws I don't, because if I did, I'd choose not to pay taxes, to be honest with you, right? Right? So why do these people get a pass? Why are they allowed to pick and choose whatever laws that they want to follow, right? If I go to another person's country on a vacation, like I was over in Greece and Israel, I have to follow every single law that they have over there, even if it's not laws that I'm accustomed to here. So why do these people get to break into my country and continue to break laws? I don't understand that. I've talked to you about this before. I am of Peruvian descent. My father's from Peru. I have Peruvian blood in me, yet I cannot go to Peru illegally. I must follow all the laws that they have for entry of their country. Explain this to me. If you were to leave the country and you were to come back in, you have to show your passport. You have to show documentation. You have to, you have to go through the proper process. Yet, you don't have to do that through the border. You can come in willy-nilly. It's wide open. I don't understand that. You have security checkpoints that you have to go through, and yet these people are just coming in. I'll give you an example here. We've got C-19 as an example. Our livelihoods were on the line to take this experimental jab. Yet, this situation was not serious enough for them to close down the border. They were willing to close down people's businesses, but they were not willing to close down the border. We still had migrants coming in that not only had C-19, that they were confirmed to have it, but they also had other diseases that were almost eradicated, like tuberculosis, for example. I've seen numerous reports of people having tuberculosis that were coming over. That's just one example. Listen, the bottom line is this country cannot sustain this on a long-term basis. We shouldn't even have to sustain it to begin with, period. Breaking the law and crossing over illegally should have consequences. And deportation, along with the loss of ever being able to gain citizenship, should be on the table. Giving illegals any incentives, such as money, phones, healthcare, Even birthright, all it does is it allows for the same behavior to come. It allows these people to gamble and say, I want to risk it because I know that if I make it, they're not gonna send me back. I'm gonna stay. And the claims of asylum are being abused, and it has to stop. Our families should not be struggling due to inflation and high taxes so that others can get a free pass. This is absolutely wrong to every single American, doesn't matter what your skin color or background is.
That's why I love the channel, Patriots of the American Republic. We got to rise up, and this is not against. Just to reiterate, this is not against for me people. Like if you're legitimately trying to find a better, position for your life and your family, I fully understand that. This is more of a macro level of the policy and what needs to happen and what's sustainable, what's not sustainable.
Absolutely, brother. Listen, man. Thank you so much for coming back on. I appreciate it. I know that was really quick. You just did one with me last week, and here you are again. You've got your own stuff to do, so I really appreciate you coming in and giving me your views.
Oh, thank you. Anytime. Appreciate it. We just schedule it. We can do it. I got to get you on my channel, so we got to do it.
Absolutely, brother.
Let's do
Thank
it.
you so much. Everybody else, have a good night.
You.
God bless. God bless America.